A teďko si dovolím to naše setkání povýšit na mezinárodní úroveň a budeme mít prezentaci, přednášku. Chcete ji v italštině nebo v angličtině? Dobře, vidím v angličtině. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to welcome Luigi Stragapede, who came from Italy, to introduce solution from ABB, which is much more focused on the cybersecurity on the factory or company level. Factory is probably better. So the floor is yours. All of them, they understand English, so don't worry, and go ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Welcome, everybody. Sorry, I don't know Czech language, so I will speak in English. But do you have the... yeah, just to move the slide.
Já bych prosil pana Humla, který nám ukradl svakátko, aby nám ho vrátil. Vrátil, děkujem.
Okay. Okay, thank you. And said before, I'm Luigi. Basically, I'm based in Italy. So I'm the global product manager for this product, which is the Emax3 circuit breaker. It's the newer circuit breaker that substitute basically the previous version, which is Emax2. Well, the presentation will be focused especially about the cybersecurity, so about how Emax3 can protect against a cyber attack. But before going there, I would like to introduce a little bit the context of Emax3 to understand better, how the product can be used and the new features that we have. Unfortunately, it doesn't work, I think. It doesn't work.
It doesn't work?
No.
So if it doesn't work, so please just tell next slide.
Yeah, next slide. Okay, perfect, perfect. So if you can go on the next slide, yeah. Okay, thank you so much. No problem. So basically, I would like to start from the claim of Emax3, which is solving what's next, because basically our product has introduced a lot of new features that help to anticipate the future. So basically, thanks to a lot of new advanced sensors, it is possible to anticipate if there are some failures or some attacks. But these are very shortly the three pillars that we have as our lines in order to develop the product. And adaptive is the first one. Why this? Because basically the breaker should adapt over the time to the need of the plant that can change over the time. An important concept is the integration, because basically the dimension of Emax3 is the same of Emax2, so it is possible to substitute the old circuit breaker with the new one without redesign all the circuit breaker. The reliable, of course, a breaker should be reliable in a switchgear, because basically, there are a lot of features that needs to be checked over the time, and also their status in order to substitute them. And secure. So about secure, we have two main pillars, and one of these is the cybersecurity protection that we will touch during the presentation. And of course, it's a circuit breaker, so should protect people and also assets. So, just a brief introduction. These are the four frames that Emax3 has. So starting from 1,600 ampere to 6,300 ampere. So the name of the frames are very similar to the previous version. So we are talking about E1.3, E2.3, E4.3 and E6.3. Basically the frames depends on the nominal current and depends on the dimension needed. The standard has IC, so and also UL, and fixed and withdrawable. And as you can see from the screen, basically the dimensions are really the same of Emax2. So what has really changed is the trip unit. So you can see here the trip unit is the intelligent part of the breaker. So this part is able, basically, as the naming is saying, is aware of what is happening inside and also outside the circuit breaker. So we have added a lot of new sensors, a lot of new technology in the same place and space of before, but in order to basically be aware about the breaker itself and also what it is happening in the asset of the switchgear. This is a list of protections, just to give you some tips. Of course, we can go in deep in the stand of ABB, but basically, as said before, our circuit breaker has the same performances as before in order of electromechanical and dimensions, but a lot of new features which are digital. So it is possible also to upgrade these features, a lot of them also after sales, so during the life of the breaker. And I would like to basically put the attention on the power quality. So first of all, it's the first circuit breaker to have 0.5 accuracy for power and energy. So we know very well how the measurement of the power is an important point in the circuit breaker. So also according to a standard, which is the 61557. We have introduced a lot of new features for network analyzer and data logger. So it's possible to detect in a very easy way fast dips of the voltage. And also to record the waveform. So with Data Logger Pro, with an SD card, it's possible to detect also months and weeks of waveform. So it's an important feature. Predictive maintenance. So thanks to a lot of these new sensors that we have introduced, basically it is possible to say in advance when to make maintenance. So not go periodically there and make a check, but go there only when it is needed. And then sense accessories are basically opening and closing coil, which are very intelligent and smart. Custom logic is a tool that we have developed to create logics between breakers. And then expanded protection. This is an important feature that we have introduced, which is the arc flash protection integrated. So basically it's a protection in order to basically protect people and also assets when there is an arc flash, because a big amount of energy is created during the flash. And this way we are able to be fast with respect to external relay. And then cybersecurity. This is the topic that I would like to touch now, because we are the first circuit breaker to be certified according to a standard, which is basically the 62443-4-2. And why this? Because you know very well that a circuit breaker must open the circuit. So in the past it was basically an electromechanical device. So it was used to open the circuit when the current was very high. But we have passed from this device, which is very, insulated, to a connected device, which is Emax3, the new breaker that we have introduced. And this breaker has a lot of information. So a lot of data about his breaker, but also around from other breakers and also from the switchgear. So these data are sensible. Basically, it's important to have a protection against cyber attack. And this is the reason why we tried to develop a product that has a certification by third party. So something that certifies that we are able to protect against cyber attack. And this standard is basically the one that you see on the screen. So basically it's an international standard, so it's not basically on local standard, but is international. And this is the 62443 standard. Here you see on the right, basically there is 4 parts of these standards. So the first part is the general rules and all the policy, the second part. The third part is related to the system, but we focus on the fourth part, which is the component, because basically we certified the component of Emax3. And here you can see basically the 2 options. So the standard Emax3 you see on the left screen, there is the HMI, so the trip unit, the touch trip unit. And on the right there is this particular breaker, which is certified according to this standard. And basically the difference, which is that on the cybersecurity circuit breaker, it's not possible to change parameters on the HMI. Why this? Because basically we are not able to recognize who is touching, who is modifying parameters. So this is the first level of protection of people and person that can change parameters. So the only thing that can be enabled is the Bluetooth, just to be connected with devices like Epic mobile app or other devices. But for the rest, it's only reading mode. And I would like to say that this is an important thing, because in order to achieve this certification, we worked a lot in the factory, because the certification is not only related to the product itself, but also to the process. So in order to develop the product in the factory, in order to also check that everything is okay during the life cycle of the product, there is this standard, which is the -1, that we need to comply in order to basically certify this breaker SL2, which is the second level of protection. So we worked a lot. We worked like 2.5 years to achieve this. So just to give you an idea how it was difficult, and we are the first in the market to have this kind of certification for breakers, for a product like a breakers. So I told you that basically it is not possible to change parameters by HMI, but how to change now parameters? Basically with the logic of role-based. So we have a lot of devices on the laptop, which is the software called Equip Connect, and we have also a software on the mobile phone, which is called Epic. And thanks to it, we are able to recognize which is the role of the person that is trying to modify parameter, and we are able to recognize, and then he can modify if have the role. So how it works? So basically, the first person that connect to the breaker is the owner. So is the person that owns the breaker and can also transfer the ownership. And the same is for the admins. So admins are people that have all the powerful roles in order to modify things or download things. Then the next step is, okay, I would like that some person can modify protections, other person can only read or download a report. How to do it? Basically giving a role to an engineer or we call also operator. So I, as an owner or admin, I tell, okay, you would like to be an engineer, so you can modify things. You are an operator, you cannot modify settings. So in this management role, we are able to recognize who is accessing to the breaker, and we are able basically to protect the breaker itself. So this is an important step because the requirements of the standards mandates to have this kind of check. And I will show now basically video. This video explains a little bit. Okay, I will go. Yeah, this is the video. Okay. As you can see here from this video, you see a symbol, which is the shield with the lock, because this is the way to recognize this particular circuit breaker with respect to the classical one. And also the modules are basically cyber secure, so they have the same symbol because they need to communicate with the certificate. So only the modules that have this certificate can communicate with our trip unit. Then this is the role-based access that we have seen before. So basically, if I go to the HMI and I try to basically modify parameters, I cannot do it, so they aborted. But I can go with the Keep Connect. The same is for Epic for the mobile phone. As an owner, so I'm the owner of the breaker, I can give the access to another people with the email, basically. So in this way, I'm giving the access to a person to be an engineer, who is the person that can modify parameters. So I put basically the phone number, the email, and etc. And in this way, I am an engineer now. I can connect to the circuit breaker. The software recognizes that I am an engineer. And in this way, I can modify protections and settings in general, apply, and everything is done. So what I would like to stress is that this is possible thanks to the role-based management on the software. This is an important work that we have done in order to recognize everything and also log everything, because it is important also to know what people are doing on the circuit breaker. And this is possible thanks to the certification that we have achieved. Last slide that I would like to show you is basically an overview. Okay. These slides basically show the differences between Emax2 and the Emax3 standard and the Emax3 ASICS 62443, which is the standard that I've said to you. So Emax2 is the previous version, Emax3 is the new one, and as I said before, we have the two versions, so the classical and the cybersecurity. Basically, the main differences between this cybersecurity, as I said before, is that we have dedicated module, so module that have a certificate in order to communicate with the breaker, so no classical module, and role-based access. So basically, with this role-based access, we are able to recognize who is connected to the breaker and modifying parameters. So this is the main points that I would like to stress. And that's all. Yeah.
So your presentation is done?
Yeah.
So, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your presentation. You just gained the award for the first who really is in time. So thank you very much. Is there some question? Chcete se někdo zeptat na něco? If there is no question, I just like to highlight or mention that the circuit breaker what was here presented, you can see in person, or if it's a person, on the boost of ABB, which is located on your left side, a few boosts over there. And definitely Luigi will stay with us here for the panel presentation, and also is available at the boost of the ABB with his colleagues. So definitely, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And we wait there.
Yeah, we appreciate that you traveled from Italy.
Yeah.
From Italy, so it's great. And thank you. That's
Thank you
all.
so much.